Welcome to the NewsBlitz. Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the NewsBlitz for the week of the 23rd of February. The NewsBlitz is a brief take on some of the gaming events of the past week, providing a quick look at the news, hence news, followed by a heady rush of hot, fresh opinions, the Blitz. This is a program that works hard to wear its biases on its sleeve and give you a clear line between fact and thought. This week, not really much happened. Hideo Kojima attended the DICE Summit and spoke publicly after forming his new studio. TotalBiscuit announced over Twitter that there was no pre-release PC access for Far Cry Primal. And that's about it for this week, that we didn't already at least touch upon last week with Street Fighter V, and these are the things I consider worth discussing at least. The DICE Summit, that's Design, Innovate, Communicate and Entertain Summit, not a summit by Battlefield developer DICE, brought with it the first major public interviews by game creator and eccentric designer Hideo Kojima. Appearing on stage with Guillermo del Toro, I'm sure I butchered that name, Kojima discussed his plans going into the future. Currently in a partnership with Sony, Kojima is working on a new title and has said, "I feel extremely free right now. I'm trying to make a big game with a very small team. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I have no intention of changing anything in order to make it sell more. I want to create something that I want to play." Furthermore, Kojima has dispelled rumours that he was removed from Konami due to spiralling budgets and deadlines with Metal Gear Solid 5, stating that he was always upfront about costs and time investment. There is yet to be any major clarification on the exact reasons that caused the split. Let's talk about Kojima and his ambitions in the Blitz. So let me get it out of the way immediately that I like Hideo Kojima, I like his games, I like what he does, and I like the fact that he's just something unique and individual in the gaming industry. Too many games are made by too many people these days. Ubisoft is, to me, the classic example of this. They're a huge sprawling company and, 1,000 cooks are definitely spoiling the broth in that case. Everything feels designed by committee, the games lack personality generally, and they lack just something that makes them, even personable. With a Kojima game, you are getting a unique experience. You're getting something that's come from the mind of a man who understands games in an interesting way, comes at games from an interesting way, and makes interesting things. Now, sometimes these, auteur-driven games can backfire. Like Goddess, to me, is a recent example of Peter Molyneux getting a bit, out there and wanting a very simple game and not quite realizing that it's not working and having problems with that. But I still respect the man, I still respect the drive that he has in making games, and I respect the hell out of Hideo Kojima, because he makes things he wants to make, and I'm so happy that he's still in a position to make things, and that he's being trusted to make more things. The fact that he's with Sony, and from these interviews that have been sort of springing up from various websites, I've read the ones at GameSpot, I think I'd read one at Polygon, and Eurogamer, and these interviews and the recordings of what he said makes it sound like Sony is being incredibly hands-off and that we'll get something that is distinctly Hideo Kojima. It's something distinctly different. Sony are being incredibly hands-off. Now, the way he's talking, it sounds incredibly ambitious. He's talking a lot about, the large scope of the game. He wants to make a big story. He wants to have it very open world and very open to play around in. So it'll be interesting to see what he creates. Naturally, everyone is hoping for something similar to Silent Hill. We've already had Quiet's Mountains, but PT was one of the finest horror titles released in recent times, and it was a trailer. The fact that he's still hanging around and palling around with Guillermo del Toro shows that there might still be interest in making that project and making that project a reality. I really hope so. I want to see what horror Kojima can dream up, because he can do some really off-putting stuff. The end of Metal Gear Solid 2 was fantastic. Some of the scenes in Metal Gear Solid 5, especially around the hospital in Deepest Darkest Africa, was fantastic. The atmosphere is really well done. And I'm hoping to see what he can do with horror and money behind it. Now, you could make the argument that, hey, this money that Sony's giving him could be spent elsewhere, but being honest, I don't think Sony needs more straight-faced AAA titles. It doesn't need to invest in another Uncharted. It has Uncharted. It doesn't need more in that space. It needs unique things that will draw people to the platform. Now, I really hope that they also release this on PC, because I don't own a PS4. I probably never will, barring a massive change in fortune. So, yeah, I understand that the PS4 needs unique things if it wants to survive. And while I'm against platform exclusivity, I understand the reasoning behind this decision. Rounding up this quiet week with something that piqued my interest and is a universal warning sign. John Bain, or TotalBiscuit if you prefer, mentioned on Twitter on the 22nd of February that there have been no PC codes for Far Cry Primal, and as such all reviews have been done on either an Xbox One or a PS4. Looking around at the reviews starting to emerge, this seems to have been the case, with all reviews happening on either the PS4 or the Xbox One. As such, current advice to PC gamers is to be careful with Far Cry Primal. It might be good, it might not be, and console reviews are giving it middling to good scores, but right now, until those first PC reviews hit, it's hard to say. The real meat of why this story is included is, of course, in the Blitz. So, not sending review copies to all platforms sends a signal of a massive lack of confidence. You've got to read into these kind of things. When they don't send review codes to people like TotalBiscuit who strive for a high quality experience on PC, it's a warning sign. It's a warning sign that the port might not be good. It could be fine, then why not send one? You know, it annoys the hell out of me when companies do this. Now let me get a personal bias out there. I like TotalBiscuit, I like John Bain. While I disagree with him on some things, he's generally very well reasoned. He sometimes plays a little bit too hard to his persona in my opinion. He can also waffle on and on and on for 30 minutes about a point that just needs 5 minutes to make, but he strives for results and he's had a positive impact on gaming as a whole. And I do believe that consumers need to know about this kind of thing. When companies don't send review copies out to certain platforms, the people who are interested in that platform need to be made aware of this. They need to be told, yeah, they didn't send us any PC code, so we can't tell you how good it is. It doesn't matter if the game runs great on a console and plays great on a console. If it had crippling bugs on the PC, then you don't want to buy it. You don't want to spend a large amount of money, let's be honest, on a game that might not work. And just going into my own experience, like, I'm made immediately cautious when review copies aren't distributed. Also when review copies are incomplete, but I get why review copies are sometimes incomplete. XCOM 2, I've heard, for example, ran very well in the review copies, but of course the PC version, as we know, well, it's only a PC version, but it has performance issues. So that can happen as well. So I like it when reviewers and when people like that are upfront about what they've played and the status of what they've played. Whether it is a limited review copy, whether they've been given a review copy, whether they've just bought the game on release afterwards, how the developer has treated them, if they are a big reviewing platform, I guess you could call it, like TotalBiscuit, who should be given things to review. Like, he's a massive presence in the PC gaming world, so give him shit to review, please, because his opinion is valued. And I like the transparency in reviewers and telling us what has happened, how the review has been made, what's led to it being made, that kind of thing. And I hope you do as well. I hope you guys out there understand the importance of knowing the stance of the company towards the reviewer. Whether they are antagonistic, whether they are happy to work with the reviewer, whether they are how they treat video content around the videos. All this kind of stuff is important to understand about the developers and about the relationship with the public. Because knowing this kind of stuff lets you know about how the company almost thinks of its audience, how the company regards its audience. And I can't help but feel, you know, if Ubisoft really cared about the PC gaming market, then they would have given the review codes out. Like, this is a massive company. This isn't some simple oversight where, oh, we forgot to make PC review copies. No, this is a decision. Like, they were making choices about who to send these codes to, and they said, well, okay, what about PC reviewers? Who gives a shit? The game doesn't run very well, or PC gamers are all snobby elitists and stuff. And in that case, well, fuck you, to be honest. Like, if you don't send review copies out, I can't know how good your game is. I'm not going to buy it. Which is a shame, because I was kind of interested in Far Cry Primal, but I'll have to wait now and hear if it runs well, or if it's another Arkham Knight. Who knows? Thank you for joining me on this relatively short round of a NewsBlitz. I've been Josh, as one voice amongst many, and I'll see you next week for another look into the world of gaming news. As I said, it was a fairly quiet week, so I just rambled on about Kojima and gaming press, I guess, which I like rambling about. And aside from Street Fighter V's release or another round of the Division beta, and my opinion remains completely unchanged on the Division, despite what the YouTube comments say about my review, little has occurred. As always, your thoughts and feedback are appreciated, and if you like the video, hit that little thumb. It does help immensely. Toodles.